Hi, everyone. I am Amy Cooper, and joining me today is photographer Inti St. Clair. I met Inti a few years ago when I was working as an art buyer at T3, and she came in with her gorgeous promo and her gorgeous attitude, and I haven't stopped enjoying her since then. We've stayed connected, and I always knew from meeting her that she would have the most perfect energy for a commercial advertising set. And Auntie, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us about you.
Thank you. My name is Inti St. Clair. I don't even know what to talk about, but I'm a commercial lifestyle photographer primarily. I shoot people, and they're my favorite, especially kids. I also travel a ton, and I love to travel and take travel photos. So I'm going to show a little bit of that as well.
How did you get started in photography?
So, my first career, I was actually a chef, and I really loved cooking, but the industry was incredibly brutal. And especially back then, I think as a woman, like I was the only woman in any kitchen ever, and it was really challenging. And I also just was married to my job, and so in a weird sort of roundabout way, I actually kind of got away from being a chef and ended up being a corporate manager because of traveling around Europe. And I was going to open this restaurant and my financial backing fell out. And so then I needed a job. And so I just ended up becoming this corporate manager, and I opened 6 restaurants in a year. And it was intense. And it was rewarding in certain levels, but it was just brutal at the same time. And the last restaurant, we were far busier than we anticipated, and I worked 198 hours in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I just was like, I can't live my life this way. And so when I had an opportunity, I took myself on a road trip and really had the conversation with myself about how I wanted my life to look. And I realized that there were things that I wanted, like freedom to be my own boss and make my own schedule, and to be able to travel the world and do what I was doing anywhere I ended up. And photography kind of checked all those boxes. And I'd always loved photography, and I tried to sort of take it in college and really couldn't get into any of the classes because I wasn't an art major. So anyway, that was the kind of, I guess, the kick in the butt that I needed to just go for it. Because I knew, if you don't try something, then you for sure have failed if it's something that you're interested in. So I went for it.
I love that. I love that.
Lucky for me, I love it too.
Yes. So, would you say the majority of it is kind of self-taught?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I did in the year 2000, which is kind of when I made this big decision. I did like summer school in photography at Rocky Mountain School of Photography in Montana. So that was 2.5 months. And this was, back in the days of film, pre-digital, pre-Photoshop, all that kind of stuff. And it really was like camera basics and lighting basics. And then after that, it was just, learning whether that was assisting or shooting on my own or whatever. So, yep.
That's amazing. Do you have any people that were really great mentors or teachers for you early in that space?
That were what?
Mentors or teachers for you that really helped you out in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I worked as a studio manager and producer and second shooter for a photographer in Seattle. I was based in Seattle at the time, and I learned an immense amount from that job. So, yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. So, on that note, tell us what is some of the best advice that you've ever been given, either in relation to business and photography or life?
So the best advice that I have been given, which is like ringing so true right now for the current situation that we're in with COVID and all of that, is that I happen to become friends with a number of photographers who were a good 15 to 20 years farther along in their career than I. And, we got comfortable enough to where, I would pick their brains often. And, it's really interesting because a number of these photographers, unbeknownst to each other at different times, said to me, whatever you can do along your career path, stay as lean as possible. So I think there's this big sort of burning desire within photographers to get bigger and to be bigger, whether that's like to open a studio space and to have employees and to like, do all of that kind of things so that we feel like we've made it. And especially in the last recession that we had in 2008, 2009, a lot of those mentor photographers that I had who were multimillionaire photographers really suffered because they had to let employees go, they had to shut down their studios, like things like that. And so that's really resonated with me. And while I have had employees in the past, I haven't had any for years, and I am so grateful for that right now. So, there's a definite benefit to being lean and mean as long as you can.
That's really interesting. So for those of you who are watching, we are in the middle of the 2020 COVID. Hopefully this video survives. But that's really,
that's especially relevant. The reason I wanted to talk about that now is because now, frankly, when this whole thing kind of just sort of blew up, or whatever you want to call it, like 2 months ago now, I had a lot of assignments that were, starting to happen or had been awarded or whatever, and poof, they all went away like instantly. And, so I think if I had employees, I would be extremely stressed and emotionally struggling because I would feel like, their livelihood relied on me. And it would be really hard for me to deal with that, because I know that anyone who's ever worked with me in the past, like, I really care about them like my family. And I think that, this situation that we're in right now is extremely difficult in and of itself. And if I had that added pressure and that added emotional stress, it would be even more challenging.
That's so true. And you mentioned the economic downturn in 2008, 2009. How did that affect your business then, or did it?
Oh, immensely.
Yeah.
My income dropped 70% from one year to the next. Wow. Yeah, it was intense. So, so back then and now, like, what's really saving me is the fact that I save money. I put money aside, just, you always hear this advice of like 6 months, just to have it, just in case something happens. And I think that that's so wise. And beyond that, I have a very large stock photography collection that I have built throughout the years. And so I'm still pulling in income from that, which I'm incredibly grateful for.
Yes, that's really great that you have that. And you mentioned talking about your crew, and I was so impressed by your last email that you did for your marketing. And a lot of my clients are struggling with, should I be reaching out? It feels really weird. And I think that you really nailed it as far as a great way to be in communication with your clients and your potential clients in a way that feels authentic and positive. Tell us a little bit about that for those who haven't seen it, a little bit about that email.
Yeah, so I can echo, what you've been hearing from other people, and that I too was really struggling because I felt like, I wanted to reach out, but it felt really insensitive to just like send out some beautiful lifestyle photos and be like, I'm amazing, you should hire me, I have no work. Like, no one has work right now. It's like really stressful. And it also felt like that was just so insensitive to everything that we're dealing with right now. And so I too was like seeking for a way to reach out. And so I came up with the idea of like doing portraits from afar in a doorway and stuff, or, from the street, was not mine. That's going around and a lot of people are doing it. But the spin that I put on it was that I decided to go around Austin and shoot all of my favorite freelance crew that I work with on a regular basis, and their families, and then share those photos and a little bit about them. And, in my promo, I also did my best to lift them up and talk about how amazing they are at whatever thing it is that they do, whether that's, assisting or styling or hair and makeup or whatever, and also include links to all of their own personal sites, so that hopefully I could lift them up and give them traffic or energy or whatever it was, so that, we could just all kind of raise each other up. So
Yes. Oh my God. I love that so much. And
it was really fun too. It was so nice to see their faces and connect
oh,
with them.
I
It felt really
know.
good. So
So beautiful, so smart. And I'm sure that your clients who saw that could feel what you were trying to do, and also um, so amazing to lift them up. And I know that that made them feel special. But also, when I got that, and I know, have a lot of people, Austin's a small town, and
yeah,
a lot of people work with the same, stylists and hair and makeup artists. And for me, it was so exciting to see, oh, there's producer Amy Whitehouse. She's a friend of mine. So great to see her face. And there's her family, and she's still intact. And,
yeah.
same with Stephanie and Meredith. Meredith and I usually hit the gym together every week, so it's so great to just see
Nice.
those
I didn't
people's
know that.
faces.
That's awesome.
Hopefully, some of your local art buyers felt the same way seeing
I
that.
hope
That's so great.
so.
So let's get back to Inti's amazing career. Can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing in general over the past few years? Maybe some of the clients that you've gotten to work with here in Austin or anywhere?
Sure. I mean, my clients kind of range into different sectors because I'm a lifestyle shooter. So, I shoot for healthcare. Probably one of my favorite projects ever was a job that I did for Kaiser Permanente, which I'll share an image from in a little while. But then, let's see, in the last year I did a shoot for Chase Bank, a library shoot for Microsoft. Um, a recent shoot was for Arm and Hammer. Yeah, those are some of my clients. And I also, those are obviously national projects, and a lot of those didn't shoot in the Austin area. But I do shoot in the Austin area as well. And I have found myself in the last few years shooting for a lot of housing developments,
Mm.
which, from a impressive client name standpoint, it's not as impactful as a Microsoft or an Arm & Hammer or whatever. But truth be told, I really enjoy those jobs. I think they're really amazing, and I'm really grateful that, and the reason that I think they're amazing is because they actually give me a ton of freedom. They're not paying me near as much as these other clients. And so they're just sort of like, we love your work, go make some pretty pictures for us. And that's always kind of a dream from an artist to hear, because we can really just go out and make beautiful images on our own. And so, I mean, not entirely on my own, I have some crew, but it's not as structured and regimented, and there's not a set shot list or anything like that, whereas there often is with some of my bigger clients. And so I really enjoy those jobs, and I like being local with those too. So
Do you feel like you have more creative freedom when you're working direct for a brand versus, all the people that you're going through when you go through an ad agency?
100%.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Do you have anything that you would say was like a huge career win for you, or the most favorite shoot that you've done?
So interesting, the Kaiser Permanente job, which I just mentioned a little bit ago, was kind of that for me, in the sense that it can be really hard to break into medical and healthcare, because the reality is that you're never, not never, it's highly unlikely that you will get hired to shoot in that space if you don't have work to show for it. You have to, if you don't have any in hospital, in clinic work to show, it's incredibly impossible to get hired. So I realized that, and a number of years ago, I invested a substantial amount of money. I invested $30,000 of my own money to self-produce some healthcare imagery. So that's been having been a producer before, came really in handy, because it was I found the location and I hired all the talents and I did all the wardrobe. I literally did everything by myself. I partnered with another photographer because I wanted video assets.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we did it together and we did everything together. We had one PA person with us and that was it. And we hired tons of talent and we just knocked it out. And so as a result, I got what I felt truly were high quality portfolio level imagery. And then I started marketing that, and that's how I got the Kaiser job, which is great. That's like a total win. That's what you hope for when you like do something that big, to put yourself in a different space.
Yeah, I can vouch for that, having worked at an ad agency. If a creative director or an art buyer can't see that you've already shot what they want you to shoot, they're not likely to hire you. And that can be really frustrating, even though photographers feel like, well, obviously they can tell I could be able to shoot that, but they really do. It's so hard. They really do want to be able to see their vision in your portfolio before they hire you. So it's so smart that you did that. I'm so glad you hopefully recouped a little bit of that money.
Oh, I did, yeah, because I just put imagery. Well, I just put that imagery into stock, and medical imagery. The sales it's the highest earning imagery in stock. So yeah, I did earn that money back, which is great. And also, truth be told, I made far more than that on the job that I ended up shooting. So, it definitely earned it back from me in that way as well.
I love hearing that. So do you want to share your screen with us? Show us some of your favorite images and talk us through some things.
So this is, let's see if you'll do that. Okay. Can you see that picture on the screen?
Yes, gorgeous.
So this is actually one of the shots that I got at the Kaiser job. And so we did in-clinic stuff as well as out of clinic, because obviously from a healthcare perspective, they're looking at whole health, whether that's, that you're actually sick or that it's just like preventative or whatever it is. And so we shot for days. It was a huge image library. So we did all of the above. This particular shot was actually a bit of an outtake. They wanted these kids really playing and laughing and having a blast with each other. And it was 105 degrees in LA in the middle of the day. And this girl was like so done. Like she had just had it. And yet I love this picture because I think it's so real. And that's something that I am always going for in my imagery is, and it's a bandied about word that's really, kind of played out and overused at this point, authenticity, but that is truthfully what I am going for. And for me, this image says so much more than if she had been happy. Like happy would have been the expected thing. And I just love this.
So powerful.
Thank you. So do you want me to move on to other shots?
Yeah, let's see.
That's the only shot that I pulled from that shoot.
That's okay.
So I think some of the other images that I'm going to share are just random shots that I've taken over the years that I still really like. This is one of them. I love that his tongue is sticking out. I love the sun flare. I love that you see his sister randomly off in the corner of the shot. Just everything about this is working for me in terms of like how I want my brand to be out there and have it be really real and really authentic. So
beautiful.
Thank you. This one, I've just always loved this shot. I find myself seeking unique perspectives and unique angles whenever I can. And this image, speaks to that and what I'm going for. It would be the obvious shot would be straight on from the back walking up to the ocean, or head on where you see the kid's expression. And yet I think this is just like such a special moment. And I love that his little fingers wrapped around, and all that kind of stuff. So
beautiful. Love this.
Thanks. So this picture is, a traveling shot of mine. Truth be told, I don't get hired much to shoot foreign, especially, and travel stuff. I would like to a lot more because traveling is like my biggest passion. So yeah, I don't know, maybe but I love everything about this picture. Like it feeds my wanderlust soul on multiple levels. And it was shot in the Galapagos, which is
That's what my question is.
spectacular, and I highly recommend that everyone go at some point in their lives because
Uh,
it's this. So
One
yeah,
day we'll get out of the house. Beautiful. I love that water.
yeah,
So beautiful.
me too. Okay, so let's see. Oh shoot, that's the shoot that I'm working on right now. Sorry about that. Um,
Gorgeous.
the photo shoot that I've done since we've been in this situation. So yeah, so this picture, this was from a self-produced shoot, and I kind of, was doing a little bit of like an Americana series a while back, and there's another shot where she's totally smiling, and yet this one works for me a lot better. I mean, I love them both for sure, but I just like her really direct gaze, and yeah, I just like it. And
Beautiful.
obviously I like backlit things, as you can tell.
Yeah, you definitely have a distinct style. I always think of your work as having a lot of energy to it and a lot of color saturation. Really beautiful.
Yeah, and I have to say that also too, like at some point in my career, I realized, like in the beginning of my career, it was just impressed upon me so much that you had to follow all these rules, and like everything had to be perfectly exposed, and just all this kind of stuff. And I've moved away from that a lot. Like, I mean, there's some people who would like really struggle with the fact, how hot the road is and the light on her hair, like how hot it is. And in a traditional sense, you would scrim that off, and it would, then everything on her would seem a lot more even. Um, and I think it seems more authentic if it's not like that. So I break those rules.
Yeah, and I think that authenticity and that, imperfectness has really, I don't want to say become a trend, but has become more sought after in the past, I would say 5 or 6 years, since Instagram kind of has gone off.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I think, at the beginning of my career too, I feel like advertising it was aspirational but
Mm,
slightly unattainable.
mm,
And I think that has changed. And now
yeah.
it's aspirational, but it like the desire is that it feels 100% attainable. So you can see yourself and your friends, in that, as opposed to, and this is lifestyle. I mean, like, luxury brands is a total different story, but like when it comes to lifestyle, I really, I remember back in the day, we didn't really ever shoot, this is 15 years ago, but like you didn't shoot that many mixed race families. You didn't, the women were all slender, like there were these things. And I am so grateful that we have moved past that, because, and I remember having a conversation with an art director really wanting to shoot a gay family, in just a regular way. So not in like an obviously, oh, they're gay way, but in a like they're just a family, because I have tons of friends who are gay, and the reality is they're just people. They just have everyday lives just like the rest of us. They have,
Mhm.
families and blah blah blah. And I really wanted to shoot them in a subdued, normal way, and they were just like, nope. Like it was either you did this like over the top, like gay, so gay thing, or you didn't do it at all. And so thankfully I feel like that's moved away as well. And so I feel like advertising has really, since I have been in it, has moved towards a lot more realism, and I embrace it wholeheartedly. I think it's great.
Agree. I mean, I love the diversity and just making things, well, things are, these people
Yeah.
buy their products, these people get dirty and they get, they do everything everyone else is doing, no differently. So
And
yeah.
also, like, beautiful people aren't, a size 4. Like, beautiful people come in all different sizes. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is so important, too. So, I, a lot of when I'm self-producing, especially when I've shot for stock over the years, I'm just straight casting. I'm not hiring pro models frankly, because I can't afford them for my own work. And so I'll just walk up to somebody, you know, out in public and ask them, and they're just like, what, me, really? Why? I'm fat or whatever. And I'm like, no, but you're wonderful. Like, I want to shoot you because I think you're wonderful. And it's been really, like, that is something that I've really enjoyed is to, you know, when I shoot people and just who are not professional models, it makes them feel so great about themselves. And that's really rewarding as well. So.
I love that. And I hope that it's becoming easier for photographers to feel like they can impress that upon their clients to be more
I
inclusive.
can say that from my side of the fence that I think it is. Yeah, for sure.
I was
And
noticing.
you know, like, that's one thing that I really loved about the Kaiser Permanente job is that, you know, that was, of all the clients I've had throughout my career, they were by far the most inclusive. We shot transgender teens.
uh,
We shot transgender doctors. We shot, I
wow.
mean, you know, Black people, Asian people, Latino people, Muslims, like, you name it. And they, like, when we finally got that transgender doctor to sign on to model for us, my client was near in tears. They were so excited. It was,
Oh,
and like, all of us we were at this big conference table, and we were teleconferencing with her. You know, she was a real doctor, because they have kind of a stipulation of, like, the actual healthcare professionals in their shops, whether that's doctors or nurses, have to be actual doctors or nurses. Um,
mm.
so it took us a while to actually find that transgender doctor, and she was crying. It was awesome.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that. You know, we could have a whole nother hour just talking about
I
diversity. We
know.
might have to come back
Sorry.
and do that.
All right, moving on quickly. This is a shot that I did last summer.
Mm.
It was actually at the end of a job, and we had technically wrapped. We were doing some fireplace shot over, you know, sort of behind where I was standing to take this. And it was, you know, whatever, for a housing development community. There was a big fancy house there and yada yada. And then we were basically finished. And so I asked these girls to come over and do this. And I just love it. To me, it's like, this is what childhood is, you know, seeking out the unknown and really, like, finding interest in all the things around you.
Hmm. And I'm
So
guessing that green light was existing.
it actually was, yeah,
So
thankfully.
nice.
But you know, seeing it and going, ooh, let's go over here and do this, because I
Yeah.
knew it would light up their faces,
Ah,
you know.
so cool. Very
Yeah,
cool. All right,
yeah.
what else do you have for us?
Let's see here. So these are more, I have two more shots. This is a shot that I took traveling in Ecuador, and, you know, just like different from my commercial work, I would say. But also just tells so much of a story, and I really like it. And I happen to win some big awards for it. So yay!
Nice. Very nice.
and,
Okay.
then, and then we're gonna end on a chicken note. This is
Yes.
another travel picture, and I think that, you know, as me personally as a photographer, you know, I don't have very many photos that I've taken up on my wall. I have very few. Like, I buy a lot of art, and I have a lot of paintings and other people's art, but this is one that I actually have printed quite large in my house, and I just love it. And I took it in Vietnam.
Oh, wow. Gorgeous. I mean, those colors in the background.
Yeah,
Amazing. Thank you
right.
for sharing those gorgeous photos with us. We're
You're
gonna
welcome.
have to get you some more travel assignments
Oh my
ASAP.
God, please.
So I have a couple more questions for you. You know, I'm obviously big on marketing. That the majority of what I do is help photographers with their marketing strategy.
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you want to stop? There we go.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me, you've been doing this for a while, so you know what works and what doesn't work. What has been your best marketing or promotional return on investment in your career?
I mean, overreachingly, the number one thing is in-person meetings. 100%. Like,
Yes.
you know, the reality is that in today's marketplace, there are just a seemingly endless amount of amazing photographers, especially when it comes to lifestyles. Like, I feel, probably the most competitive market that you could be in as a photographer. And so I think that, your work being great is like kind of a bare minimum to getting you a job. And I think that the way that you actually get a job is that you're able to make a personal connection with the person who's going to hire you, and they feel good about you. They want to like you, frankly. And part of that has to do with communication and how the job is going to move forward. But it's also just like, oftentimes they're on set with you for a while, and there's always, every shoot has issues that come up, and it's how do you deal with that, and how do they think that you're going to communicate and collaborate with them. And I think that a beautiful portfolio of pictures isn't going to tell them that.
Right. So do you have any advice for photographers how to get meetings, or some of the, any advice for requesting them? What's
I mean,
worked
the
for you?
reality is, I think that, and I can say that I've struggled with this immensely throughout the years. It's extremely hard to cold call and get meetings. It's nearly impossible. It's also extremely hard to send emails and get meetings. I mean, these people are inundated with emails constantly,
Yeah.
and so the reality is that I do portfolio reviews, whether that's through Workbook or PhotoWorks or Boulevard or whatever. And I mean, for those who don't know, that's a pay-to-play situation. So you're paying to get meetings with the people, but I think it's worth it.
Mm, that's great.
Sometimes it's the only way you're ever going to get to meet with that person.
Yeah. It's all about who you know, networking. So
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
And do you have any other advice that you would like to give photographers who are starting out, who are interested in going from what they're doing now to larger scale lifestyle photography?
I
Stay
think it's,
lean.
what's that?
Stay lean.
Yeah, I mean, that for sure, no question. But I also think that it's important to remember, what we talked about earlier, where like it or not, you really get hired to shoot what you're showing. We like to have this idea that someone's going to love our work and hire us and go, let's create all new things. And from an artist perspective, yes, please, that's so amazing, but it's just so rare. So really, like, assessing your portfolio from the standpoint of, who are my dream clients, and what are they looking for, and do I have what they're looking for? And if you don't have what they're looking for, shoot it. You got to shoot it on your own.
Mm, that's great advice. Do the testing. I
Constantly.
feel like, if you're going to do testing, as to make sure you're getting the full crew. Don't half-ass it. Get the makeup artist and the stylist, and if you're spending your time on it, make sure that you're fully invested in making it as great as if you were on a real set.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that depends on your resources. I mean,
Hmm.
I certainly say that, I invested $30,000 in that healthcare shoot, and I didn't have any of those crew. I did it all myself. I did
Hmm.
the wardrobe. I did everything.
You didn't have
But
hair and makeup. Wow, you just
I
proved me
mean, but,
wrong.
well, I mean, it was healthcare, right? So people don't need to look like
Mm,
super great.
okay.
um, but the reality is that that was a lot of money for me to throw out in and of itself. And had I added on that crew, I would have spent at least another $10,000.
Mm,
So it's not that I don't value those those roles and what they can contribute,
mm,
but I think that um, I know that I used, like, at the beginning of my career, I used to hold myself back because I didn't have the gear that I thought I needed, or I didn't have, the support that I thought I needed. And I think that if you push yourself, you really be very surprised at what you can produce. And I think that, look, it doesn't matter how you got it; it just matters that you get it.
I love that. I love that, start where you are with what you have. I think that's, we all get caught up in failure to launch. That's something I've been talking about a lot recently. So I love hearing that. Um, Thank you so much for being with us today. Inti, what's next for you? I mean, that's such a weird question to ask right now.
My pleasure. Well, I mean, you saw that little oops on the screen there. I actually did a job shoot. So I'm retouching that right now. And then, I'm going to do another promo that talks about what it was like to do that shoot, in the current situation that we're in with social distancing and all of that. And hopefully that will get me more work. And, it's such a weird time, normally, I mean, truth be told, I haven't really fed the stock photography beast in the last 3 years, but I'm taking this time to like go through my archives of like personal work I've done and submit and do things like that. So in that way, it's kind of nice. But I think that when we are allowed to like get out there and really start, working again, it's just marketing is going to be more important than ever.
Mm. I love hearing that you have shoots going on. I think that's, really hopeful, and that's so smart that you're going to do a promo talking about what your capabilities are right now. And I think it's important. Another thing that we've all been talking about is how can we communicate with our clients our capabilities now, as well as what we're going to be doing moving forward to keep everyone safe and sterile, and because who knows how long the physical distancing will go on. So that's
Yeah.
really smart. Love it. Wow. Thank you again, Inti. This is so much fun. I'm so glad I got to do this first interview with you, because I just have so much respect for your hustle and your gorgeous images.
Well, thank you, Amy. I'm so grateful we're connected, and I love that I get to tap you every once in a while because you have a wealth of knowledge that I'm
Oh, thank
really,
you.
really grateful for.
I love you. I love getting tapped. So tell us where we can find you.
I mean, Instagram, Inti St. Clair. My website's the same thing. Very original. If I would say to up and coming photographers, you know, I like helping people out. I love helping, judging, I guess is a better word, portfolios for whatever that's worth. I think that sometimes up and coming photographers can be intimidated to reach out, but I wish they would because I love to help if I can. So,
Yes, you only get what you ask for.
yeah, that's true.
All right. Thanks again, Inti. Thanks to everyone who's watching this.
Take care, everybody.